What's going on? Your game crashed. Now you're stuck with me for like as long as I want to ramble. So let me just get through a quick little audio check, make sure that the platforms are doing good and all that stuff. And then once I finish with that, we're going to talk about some stuff that I hope reaches Chris Avelone, because I do want to play Fallout 5. But I want to make sure that Fallout 5 is taking us into the future, not necessarily having to be the way that I see it, because that's just not how you do anything, especially when you're trying to make a game and you want it to get received well. But what I want Chris Avelone to hear are just a few ideas that I think that if with enough time to make these changes, oh my God, Fallout 5 could be one of the greatest video games that there's ever been made. Let's work on that audio check, see how it went. God. There we go. Thanks for being here, guys. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. So we're going to talk about the guy in the background who's playing a first-person shooter here in just a minute. All right? And we're not going to talk about that person right now. Chris, the way I see it is that the future of VATS is virtually no VATS at all. And I know that sounds really strange because we're talking about all the way back from the trenches, 1997, right? Using VATS to kind of gain control of difficult scenarios so that we could make rapid fire, good quality shots to get critical hits and dispatch our foes in the game, right? Well, how is that in alignment with what's very popular right now in virtually every other game on the Twitch platforms? What do we have going on with Shroud over here? Shroud's the guy in the background, and I've got him rolling on loop. We see first-person activity. Now, do we see him going in and crawling into a shootout scenario and then going into VATS? No, because he's playing live. Because he's playing live and in teams. Okay? You can't have VATS in that scenario, Chris. Why do I bring this up, Chris? Because you've got more gameplay activity happening over here because of what Shroud is doing than virtually every other market, and he's a kingmaker, and he'll make people a king. Okay? So people that want to play good quality first-person shooter games, they're not going to go to Fallout, and not without a good reason. The pace is not good. And the way that we're likely on track, and again, and I've not played 3, and I've not played Tactics, and I've not played 4, and I've not played 76 or New Vegas. Chris, I'm just going out on a limb, and I'm taking a hunch with 100% pure ignorance. With 100% pure ignorance, and nobody's more pure in that respect than me, that you guys are going to blow a critical opportunity to touch base with a massive swath of audience. Quality gamers, kingmakers, people that can really decide the fate of a video game. So why do I say then, Chris, that the future of VATS partly is no VATS at all? Well, you got to have VATS inside of the game, right? Because that's Fallout. At least that's the illusion, right? But everybody likes VATS, so you keep that in the game. But now, what I'm saying, Chris, is that we also retrofit Fallout 5 to have first-person shooters built into it with teams, team chats, being able to type, and then also being able to wear headsets. And you can't have VATS in those because everybody's on a high-performance rig geared for FPS, and everybody's trying to go as fast as they can. So you cannot have VATS like that. But you can have VATS, Chris, in your normal gameplay. A new player plays Fallout 5, they're going to be using VATS from the second that becomes available, and they're going to use VATS to beat the game, I guarantee it. Nobody's debating this because I already just know, I can feel it as someone that doesn't play it. I just know it. Nobody's more pure in the sense of ignorance outside of Fallout 2 than me. But I feel it, Chris. So VATS is important. We got to keep VATS, right, gents? But I want to see with Fallout 5 is we take a daring step forward. And in addition to our main quest gameplay, and in addition to everything else that we're doing, we set it up for first-person shooters. So, Chris, what I want you to think about is the difference between, I'm pretty sure you played Resident Evil 4, Chris, on the GameCube. So you remember, and you've got your primary quest with Leon, right, in Resident Evil 4, but then after you beat the game, you unlock the mercenaries. And then you can go from one map to the other, and then you can rack up points and high scores, right? The gameplay is fundamentally the same, but it's two different stratas of the game. One is more about polishing up skills, and the other one is more about playing the game. One is more about polishing up skills, and the other one is more about playing the game, Chris. One is more about polishing skills, and the other one is about playing the game, Chris. So what I'd like to see you and your team do, taking us forward into the future, is to build it with elite first-person shooting in mind. Okay, so that's why I say, Chris, the future of VATS is partly no VATS at all. You got to have it in your main gameplay. But you see what we're missing out on here, Chris? Is we're missing out on Shroud. And we're missing out on Ninja. And we're fucking missing out across the board, Chris. And we are not hitting home runs. We are fucking up, Chris. And we are fucking up real bad. And I know that that's the direction that we're going. And I don't want to see that. If you'll just change the way that you view Fallout from an outside main quest perspective, then you can build in this. And then we can get those other first-person shooters, and we can get Pros, and we can get Shroud, and we can get Ninja. And then we'll really put Fallout on the map. Or are we afraid? So if we're afraid, then we'll just keep things the same way that they are. And that's okay. But if we'll just be bold, then we're going to get everything that's coming to us the way that you had it planned. And I'm sure you guys are doing a great job. But you'll be fucking it all up. And you'll be spitting in all of our fucking faces if you don't leave an open door for other stuff. And you wonder why nobody can fucking shoot in your games. Because of transferability, Chris. All you did was maybe just create a revolving door. As soon as they started to get a little bit of blood on their tongue and they wanted that first person experience, they weren't getting it really. So another thing I want to talk about, Chris, and I think that's the direction that your team ought to be going. So how do we implement this? What is going on here with Shroud and Ninja and all the other first-person shooters? Well, and then we want teams, right? Teams of first-person shooter guys communicating, building bonds, building crews, communities, real organic stuff, Chris Avelone, real organic stuff. So how are we going to implement that? We're going to get these guys on board because we're going to create and facilitate an environment where they're going to want to come in. And they're going to want to come in because there's an option for them to use their skills. Where before, the way we have it set up, as soon as they have an option to really harness their skills, they'll get slowed down in VATS. And they will not improve their keyboard work, and they will not improve their mouse work. And then if anybody wants to take their skills up to a level where they get recognition, they leave the platform. That's why you don't have real notoriety. And that's why all of your players suck. They're good with VATS. They know how to collect every fucking bobblehead. They know how to upgrade every suit of fucking armor, but they can't fucking win in a shootout without going into VATS. That's fucking pathetic, Chris, that we have had that problem all the way since Fallout 3. We need to fix that right away. To include that into the package. And that way, we'll be able to steal a share of all the other fucking business. And we'll be able to get pros like fucking Shroud in and pros like Ninja. All right? And then people can play elite level Fallout gameplay. Man, Chris, they're going to fucking love it. They're going to be coming in droves. You're going to lure them in. Another fucking problem that we have is automobiles. You see what's so popular with Grand Theft Auto? You say, we're fucking Fallout. We don't need to be like Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, well, fuck you. Learn a little bit of something from these guys. Being able to ride motorcycles and fucking cars and shit. Fuck the plot. Retcon that shit. Have fucking Harleys and helicopters and fucking motorcycles and cars and shit. Humvees with fucking nuclear generators and water recyclers and shit like that. Have that in there. Get that fucking business. And if we're really being honest, Chris, it makes no fucking sense why we don't have automobiles. We have a highwayman in 2, and now all I see people talking about is we need fucking automobiles in the new games. Chris, let's stop fucking up and let's make Fallout 5 the bomb. Let's make Fallout 5 the fucking bomb. Thanks for being here. We got a Fallout guy. We got a pig out. We got a pig ear here. Thanks for being here. So your normal Fallout gameplay, it'll be as normal as it always is. You guys will all work in your teams, Chris, and you'll make it and you'll do it. What you need, though, is to have the first-person shooter option. So how I'm going to teach you how you're going to set this up. All right, I'm going to fucking hold your hand, Chris. I'm going to fucking hold your hand through this, all right? So fucking break out your bubble gum. And now let's fucking talk about this. So if we're going to have team combat and we're going to have lobbies and we're going to have team chats with headsets and microphones and shit like that, and if we're going to be playing Fallout the way that Shroud and Ninja are doing it, in addition to the normal gameplay experience that you will facilitate, then we're going to have some parameters. Because what good does it do to develop your first-person shooting skills when you've got a 10 millimeter pistol and your opponent has advanced power armor? You can shoot just as good as Shroud does all day long, but it won't make a difference because your opponent won't die. So on those new lanes, Chris, you have to have a limited amount of armor choices. So I would say probably the most armor that you could have would be a light suit of metal armor. And then you could have roles. So you could have an engineer build. You could have an assault build. You could have a pilot build. Multiple different builds, right? That could have different equipments that they come into. Like, say, an engineer. He's got his equipment and he's got whatever armor an engineer comes. Maybe an engineer comes with metal armor. Maybe an assault guy comes with leather armor and a machine gun package with different, options. Everybody's got their own guns and their armors. But you have to have a cap on armor resistance and armor and damage threshold and resistance, because otherwise all the skill in the world wouldn't add up to a pile of shit, Chris, because you just couldn't take out a guy in powered armor. So when it comes to the first-person shooting, you have an armor cap. That way nobody can just tank. And that way the player gets validated in this new experience and they're not abused and they're developing new skill sets and they're harnessing that. And it's a no take back, it's a full skin in the game kind of a scenario. That's where your players are going to be getting sharp. Chris. So you'll include that multiplayer as an option, and people are going to fucking love it, so that when they're playing Fallout, they're playing fucking Fallout in a whole new way, but it makes sense, but it's modified in a way that makes sense. Those limitations make sense. And then when they go back to their primary game, they're better at first-person shooting, so they're relying less on VATS. Gents, that's why I say the future of VATS is partly no VATS at all. When the playing base becomes better at using their computer, their mouse, and their fucking keyboard, VATS becomes less of an issue, Chris. So build in a system that makes players better. I'm not saying you have to encourage it, but you put it in there. So what you're doing is you're making a bunch of maps, just like these other guys. Yeah, you are copycatting, but just like they copycatted, and just like they copycatted, and just like they copycatted. But that's going to be very, very good for fucking Fallout 5. So the next thing I want to talk about, Shroud. Thanks, Crypto Anarchist. Thanks for being here, Tattoo. Thanks for Fallout, Pig Ear. So the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about Shroud. You're not going to get these great players with VATs. Okay, Chris? Unless you're afraid of that. Chris, are you afraid? Are you afraid of having a fucking pro? I mean, yes or no? Are you intimidated by having a professional Fallout player with 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, all the way to 10 million loyal followers? Does that threaten you? Does it threaten you that one guy can just change games and then your game is fucked? Maybe that does scare you, Chris. But be fucking prepared for it. Hey, at least then no one will say that you're a coward because you had it built into the infrastructure. Chris, we need professional gamers in our fold. We do desperately. And if you're thinking that we don't, then you're fucking lost in the sauce, Chris. You've got me dead to rights 9 ways out of 10. But I'll tell you what, that 10th way, I've got you fucking beat. We need fucking pros like never fucking before. If you want your game to really take off, you need Shroud to at least dabble in your game and play it for at least a half an hour or an hour live and say something about it. You want to make $1 million in 1 fucking minute? Put your fucking game in the hands of Shroud. Are you afraid of making $1 million like that? Are you afraid of Shroud saying, "Hey, I'm greenlighting this game," and then 10% of his 10 million and then 10% of his whatever fan base goes out and orders your game? Are you afraid of that? Does that threaten you, Chris? The prospect of making fucking money, keeping the fucking lights on, paying your fucking people, and then fucking living in your house and eating the food that you want, and so that all your people can provide for their families, does that threaten you? The prospect of fucking taking your ego out for a hike and then just letting somebody else come in and say and stake a claim on what they think? Put your fucking put your game in the fucking hands of pros. Chris, if you're real strong and if you're real tough and if you really do believe in your team, then you will fucking listen to me and you'll take my advice. You'll never get a professional player of note to back your game if you don't fucking start thinking about and implementing right away what all these other games are doing. At least add it into the option to play first person. Maybe in your main quest, the plot line says you can't have cars. Maybe in your main quest, the plot line is we can't retcon and have motherfuckers flying around goddamn fucking helicopters and Blackhawks and fucking Boeing 747s. Okay, I get that. But in the first person arena, you got to start thinking about what Halo was able to achieve. You got to start thinking about what Overwatch was able to achieve. And I always forget Valorant or whatever it is. I always forget what you call it. What Shroud is playing. So in that first person sphere, think about what all they're doing. And if somebody accuses you of being a copycat, hey, did you copy what was right? Because that's a fucking compliment. You copy what was wrong, because I tell you what, if you just copy what you did before, then you're copying what's wrong. Yeah, you're going to get your plot right. You're going to get your continuity right. Blah, 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 blah. But don't fucking just copy that. Be smart and be forward fucking thinking. Otherwise, somebody's going to fucking buy this game who was a first-person shooter, and they're going to be like, oh, wow, this isn't for me, and I've wasted my money. Don't fucking trick people. Don't create the illusion that it's a first-person shooter game, because Fallout is not about first-person shooters. But you're saying, Chris, you're saying, yeah, but we're all about it. Fuck you, Chris, because you're not. First-person shooters don't fucking have a pause button, Chris. You're not a first-person shooter developer, and you need to get on board right away. So the next thing I want to talk about, Chris, is the way that you guys need to be including other options into your keyboard settings, okay? Simplify it. So we've got to get pros on board from day one, because that produces what, Chris? Millions and millions of dollars in sales. And gents, that's what we're fucking about here, right? Generating millions and millions of dollars in sales. So Chris, make sure that your team includes in the settings what other games are using. There needs to be controls so that if somebody that's been playing StarCraft can easily jump in. So you need to have StarCraft controls. And then you need to have the controls that Shroud uses for his game. And then you need to have the controls that Ninja uses in his game. And you need to be able to facilitate the need for players to feel comfortable immediately. Conquer that learning curve. Don't be so abusive to your fucking players, gents. Chris, the learning curves are too steep in all these fucking games. Don't fuck up with the controls. Provide the consumer with a choice. Add ease of access into the mainframe of this whole fucking idea, and they're going to jump into it a lot easier. Gents, the learning curve's too fucking steep. Let's not fuck up the basics. Let's get the keyboard down right. So, Chris, what I suggest and the advice I'm giving you, and you should fucking take it, is you need to build into it, take an active step to build into the game compatibility so that new entrants who are dabbling in this game have easy access, because there's just too fucking much going on with these games nowadays. There's books that you can buy for like 20, 30 books on Amazon, 200-300 pages on how to play these new games, strategies and tactics. And the more transferable that you make it, the people that write these books, the people who've read these books, they'll come into the game because you've put transferability in motion. They're able to get into the driver's seat like never before, and they're able to just live. They're able to live and demonstrate these new first-person approaches in real time. So simply you being there as a new player, you're watching these other guys going and you're up to speed. You're learning 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 pages of first-person shooting wisdom your first fucking day in the job. That's pretty good. So Chris, you're going to need to build in transferability right into the keyboard. And don't be afraid to get the pros on your side, Chris, because those guys are kingmakers. You guys really are just so fucking vain. You really are so fucking vain. I'm sure that you guys think that you've got it all figured out. But I've caught you at a good time, and I know it. Because if we can stop you guys dead in your tracks and get you thinking more forward now, you'll really have a good release. But if you don't, everybody's going to fucking know it, and a lot of people aren't going to try your game. That's where you're headed, Chris. Maybe that's why the release for Fallout 5 is so far out. You're afraid to see the fucking news. You're afraid to release it now and fucking have a bad day. That's probably it, right, Chris? Because if you release your finished product right now, a lot of people wouldn't like it. You need what Shroud is going on in the background. That's how you're going to get the kids. That's how you're going to get, people 10 years, 20 years younger than me playing. You need them. Like never fucking before, you need them. You can definitely judge a horse by its fucking teeth. And I'll tell you what, these shit are fucking long, ragged, and the gums are receding. You got an old fucking dying horse here, gents. Chris, I hope you fucking take my advice. Create a platform worthy of attracting the pros, and those pros will do everything for you. They will be the driver of sales. They will be the driver of sales. Or do you think that the driver of sales are people that can't fucking play your game and they're playing it? Really? Because I want to play what Shroud's playing. Why do you think I'm having this conversation with you, Chris, as a Fallout 2 player? Because I want to know what fucking Shroud's experiencing. Are you afraid? Is your team afraid of creating kings? Are you afraid that if you created a really classy game, that you could have organic growth within it and you'd create your own fucking pros and your own kingmakers? Think about the other people, because it's not what you guys are fucking doing. You fuck us over. You fuck us over, Chris, and there's going to be a fucking problem. Fallout 5 is going to say a lot about your fucking company. It's going to say a lot about you. And it's going to say a lot about the savvy of your crew. Fallout 5 is going to be for all the fucking marbles. If you fuck up Fallout 5, I'm sorry, then for the next 10 years, people are going to be playing Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 2. Because that's where it's headed right now, Chris. people are going to be playing Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 2. Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 2. That's the way it's fucking headed. That's the way that I fucking see it. Anyways, it's nice to meet you, Chris. My name's Aaron Wheeland. So let's hit the comment section for a second here. But I'm done with what I had to say to Chris and his team. And I'll have more to say in the future. Thanks for being here, Fallout. Thanks for being here, Tattoo. Thanks for being here, the crypto anarchist neoliberal think tank. He's got such a funny name. Drinking buddies here, the Prof Anthrax, Rodemu, the Relentless, Tyson Walsh. But you guys all get what I'm talking about, why that's so important. And why is it that a guy that only knows how to play Fallout 2, I've not even invested a second of my time in even Fallout 3. Because I fucking know it. I feel it. And I'm subscribed to all the other channels. I'm subscribed to like 35 other Fallout channels. I don't play those games, but every day I watch their content. And I thumbs up and I subscribed them. And normally I'm so out of the loop with those games, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Or I don't know what the fuck would be a good, a conversation starter. So I'll just in the comment section say sweet or awesome or groovy or whatever, you know. But that's what it's come down to, is that it took a Fallout 2 player to have this conversation. But I'm sorry, Chris, I had to be a little hard on you there. All right? Needless to say, you got out of this unscathed. All right? So I don't want you saying, oh, the mean Mr. fucking Aaron Wheeland fucking was so hard on me. You don't know what a fucking hard day is. When you fucking fill sandbags in Iraq as a punishment, because as a squad leader, you weren't doing your fucking job, that's a fucking bad day. What you're getting right now, that's fucking marshmallow shit. So fucking dry your eyes and stop being such a little bitch. And fucking take your lumps like a goddamn man. I know I'm still ticking. But fucking, yeah, dude, we really had a whole bunch. But that's what's up. And now you know it, now that I've said it. And wouldn't you like to play Fallout 5 and have a great gaming experience, but then also be able to sharpen your skills and to showcase your skills and to become a pro? You know what I mean? Wouldn't it be great to have teams with uniforms and then we travel around and compete against other teams? Yeah, we don't fucking need that, Chris. We don't need that. We'll just set Fallout 5 to be in the fucking underground, right? Yeah, because it's been fucking 30 years since the first fucking release. We still need to be behaving like we're in the fucking underground. Jesus. I tell you what. All right, that's all that I want to say right now. Thanks for being here. Have a great day.